Hey, what's up guys, TechTime here and I'm back again with a brand new video. So before I begin, as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy my content, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. A lot of new content is coming really soon. So with that being said, today I want to be discussing the new old T-Mobile Revvl 7. So I will be making a separate video about the 7 Pro, but this has been my experience with the T-Mobile Revvl 7 here now that I've had it for about a month, give or take. And the reason that I say the new old T-Mobile Revvl 7 is because not a lot has changed as far as the design. So on the back you still have this kind of matte finish to it, which is a very smooth surface, and I can tell you right now it's extremely slippery, so a case is highly recommended. On the back you do get a triple camera setup with your LED flash. On the right hand side you have your power button that is color matched to the T-Mobile logo, which is this pink color, as well as your volume up and down. Now the buttons themselves, they're mushy, they're not really tactile, not the best buttons that I've used, but for the most part and the power button also doubles as a fingerprint sensor. As far as your I/O goes, on the bottom you do have your bottom facing speaker, your USB-C that does support relatively decent fast charging, and also you have your microphone as well as a 3.5mm headphone jack here in 2024. So just know, whenever you have a headphone jack in your phone in 2024, know that you have a budget phone. So keep that in mind. That's your little pro tip. But as far as everything goes though, the design is as simplistic and as basic as it comes. So keep that in mind if you're interested in buying this phone, or if you had the previous generation like the Revvl 6, then design wise it's not going to be a different experience. So I want to switch to the display conversation here real quickly. So here you get a 6.58-inch Full HD Plus display, and it's a little bit improved from the previous generation, so it still is an IPS panel. And so it is a 1080p display, which is fine by me. However, if I were to complain about the screen, is the bezels on the phone itself. So there is a hefty chin down there, and also all around the phone the bezels are larger than your average phone in 2024 at a similar price point, I would want to say. So it's at 80%, about 80 to 81% screen to body ratio, which is not too shabby, but it's nothing to go crazy about. Overall though, the display is pretty good. It does what you would want it to do at the end of the day. It still is a 1080p display. I would say this, it's better than the 2024 Moto G 5G with that lackluster 720p display. Okay, so next in my conversation is the specs and the performance of this phone, which is a kind of a step up from the previous generation. So what T-Mobile did with the Revvl 7 is that they actually gave it a somewhat of a decent processor for the price that you're paying for this phone. So you do get the Qualcomm Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 processor combined with 6GB of RAM as well as 128GB of storage, a 5000 milliamp hour battery, which is something that I can respect. So as far as my benchmark scores, it did give me 898 for your single core, and for the multi-core it did a respectable 2684. So the multi-threaded performance on this phone runs really well on paper. Again, when it comes to my daily tasks like the phone app, messaging app, the photos app, anything that requires just your, quick, light daily tasks, this phone will be fine in those regard. However, I do have a bone to pick. I don't know what's going on with the software, or I don't know what T-Mobile needs to tweak as far as the software goes, but this phone does glitch more than it should for the processor and for the specs that it has. So hopefully that can be fixed with a software update. If it does, then I can say that I somewhat respect the performance for a $200 phone. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, the specs on paper are fantastic for the price, but it could be better with a software update to go ahead fix these bugs that this one has been having. Alright, so the camera conversation real quick. So you get a triple camera setup with honestly only one sensor being the sensor that you should worry about, which is the main sensor being 50 megapixels. The other two sensors are your macro and your depth sensor, so they're both 2 megapixels at that point. And before I speak on image quality, the software of the camera is simplistic, so nothing too crazy or nothing that will confuse a lot of people or the average consumer. So you can switch between your modes fairly quickly. You can take pictures really quickly, so it's a snap and shoot camera. It doesn't really have a lot of delay. If I were to go ahead and complain about the software, it would be how simple it is. It's almost like it's too simple. But anyway, so the biggest thing that I want to judge this phone on is its colors that it can produce, or the lack of colors that it can produce. So the pictures look mute, they don't really pop, and they lack a lot of color, a lot of detail, a lot of highlights, contrast, you name it. it lacks it. So the dynamic range on here is fair, it's nothing too outrageous, and the focusing system for whatever reason is not up to par to my standards in my opinion. As far as the video quality goes, it's as good as the image quality, so go ahead and take a look for yourself. So essentially that's your basic summary behind the camera. So it's nothing to go crazy about or nothing to go ahead and buy this phone, but yeah, that's the camera story. Basically, my conclusion when it comes to this phone is I would not recommend this device as of right now. So I know the price for this phone is around 200 bucks if you buy it outright. However, I know T-Mobile and Metro by T-Mobile have always deals where you can get this phone for a relatively low to sometimes nothing if you start a new account or depending on the promo that they're having. So if that's the case, then go ahead and buy it if you really want a T-Mobile Revvl device. However, if you're interested in their Revvl lineup, then the 7 Pro is a different story from this phone. That's the type of phone that I would recommend before getting this one, because it does have all the features and bells and whistles that come with a decent phone. With that being said, I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you feel about this phone? What do you think of it? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Let me know in the comments below, and I will definitely catch you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching.